This is the new Zhiyun Smooth 5. It's phone gimbal, but it might not be the phone gimbal you're looking for. So welcome back to another video. My name is Mario So, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing for future videos similar to this one. So the Zhiyun Smooth 5S is the upgraded version from the Zhiyun Smooth 5. And the main notable differences is that now you get a built-in fill light, stronger motors, and you get a battery runtime of 24 hours. Yes, you heard me right, 24 hours. We'll be going over this gimbal and I'll let you know the pros and cons of this gimbal. And at the end of the video, I'll be letting you know my thoughts and whether you should be upgrading to this one if you have the Smooth 5, or whether you should be getting this phone gimbal if you're out there in the market looking for a phone gimbal. There are two versions of this gimbal, the standard one and the combo version. The standard one is about $169 and it comes with the gimbal and this little tripod stand. The combo version costs $219, and then in addition to this tripod, you also get a carrying bag, a wrist strap, as well as a separate extra fill light. And those fill lights, you can get up to 2 extra ones, and they are attached to this gimbal right here, to the top or to the bottom. This gimbal can support very large smartphones. It's for phones from about 2 inches all the way to 3.5 inches with about 0.4 inches in width. So that means pretty much most phones in the market, but make sure you check out the exact compatibility list with your smartphone. So in terms of build quality and handling, this gimbal feels very sturdy. It's not built of cheap plastic. It does not feel like a cheap phone gimbal like some of the cheaper ones. It actually feels, in my opinion, like a gimbal that could hold potentially a small camera. Unfortunately, it doesn't, but that's the feeling I get as I handle and hold this gimbal. There are a ton of physical buttons, and those can come in very handy when combined with Zhiyun's apps. And there are 2 apps, but I'll go into that a little bit later. You get the power button on the side, a function button. At the front, you get a trigger button. You get the USB-C port to charge your gimbal, which is not the easiest one to open up, but that's it. Right above it, you have this lock button, which is to lock this axis of the gimbal, so for easy storage. Moving on to this side, we have a control wheel that, when combined with one of Zhiyun's apps, allow you to control either the zoom or the focus. And on the center button right here, you can hit that and record your footage. Now turning to the side that faces you, which is this side, you get a little joystick and you get a menu button which you can tap to access the different menus when you're using one of Zhiyun's apps. You get another record button, the red one right here, and this allows you to start or stop recording on your phone, again while using one of the apps. There is also a mode button, which is what you use to switch between the different types of gimbal moves like pan follow, POV, vortex, etc. So this button over here, the middle one with the light, it allows you to turn on and off the fill light. Then the jog wheel controls the intensity of that fill light. That's the light, and the jog wheel controls the intensity of this light, and you can see that it can get quite bright. And if you add in the 2 separate lights here, which are also controlled with the same button, you get a lot of lighting. The extra built-in ones come with color gels that can only be used with the external lighting. They cannot be attached to the built-in light, so that's something to keep in mind. You can also tap on the jog wheel. There's extra buttons that you can access, such as ISO, the play button, another function button, and a DISP button. The thing with this gimbal is that depending on the app that you use for this, you're going to get slightly different experiences, and that can be a little bit difficult or intimidating to learn if you're starting out. So if you're a beginner, I recommend using the ZY Cami app, which is completely free, and you're able to access most functions from these buttons. So when you get this gimbal, you get a little page like this one, which tells you what each of these physical buttons do depending on which app you're using, the ZY Cami app or the more advanced StackCam app. The StackCam app is also free, but some features are paid. So if you're a little bit more advanced and you want more precise controls and more manual controls on your phone footage, then that one might be the one to go for. But again, depending on which app you go for, these buttons are going to be doing different things. And that is a little bit out of the scope of this video, but if you wanted me to create a video on both apps and how they compare and how they perform with this gimbal, let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to make a video about that. Another cool thing about this gimbal is that there is an extra USB-C port right here where the motors are, and that is so that you can plug in your phone and keep your phone charging while using the gimbal. There are 3 different ways of locking this thing. There's this button right here that locks this axis, but these 2 axes over here, you have to twist them until they lock in place. So for example, this one, you have to twist it this way and now it's locked. And then this one, you turn it until it locks in place, and now the entire thing is locked. So because of this, among slightly other things, this is not a grab and go kind of gimbal. This will require you to set up first and even balance. So I'll unlock right here that axis. Let's unlock this other axis, and the 3rd axis is unlocked. The one thing now that you notice is that the gimbal keeps going on to the phone keeps falling down. And with some of the other gimbals, you just turn it on and the gimbal turns to life and it balances your phone. With this one, you might need to pre-balance your phone. So there's this knob right here at the top that will let you balance your phone. You untighten it. It's not super difficult to do. It'll probably take you an extra 30 seconds to do, but it's something to keep in mind and an extra step to take before you can get this running. And if you have a larger phone and you just want to pack it and have it ready to go for your next shoot, you might not be able to close this and lock it and have it pre-balanced before you take it out and shoot on your phone. So that is a minor annoying thing to keep in mind. This gimbal also shoots in vertical mode, but the gimbal does not do it by itself like some of the other gimbals. You have to manually or physically turn the gimbal for it to shoot in vertical mode. So if I have it in horizontal mode right here, I'll have to first turn off the gimbal to not mess up with the motors. As I handle the motors right here, I have to move this phone slightly outwards so that as I turn this, I'm not sure if you can see, to a vertical mode, it won't interfere with that turn. So once it's done right here, I can slide the phone backwards, back this way. And now I turn it on, and you might have to rebalance that gimbal now that it's in vertical mode. But let's see what happens if I don't rebalance and turn it on. Okay, so it seems to still be okay. So it seems like that rebalancing is not very necessary if you do not have an overly heavy phone. Seems like the gimbal does a pretty good job at just working and turning on. Another thing to keep in mind is that this gimbal does not have an extendable selfie stick like the Zhiyun Smooth Q4 or like one of the other DJI gimbals. I can't remember which one it was, but let me know in the comments below if you know which one I'm talking about. One benefit though is that this gimbal allows a 360-degree pan, which some of the other phone gimbals do not allow, like so, which can come in quite handy in certain scenarios. Another great thing about this gimbal too is because it's a little bit more powerful and it's a little bit bigger than other phone gimbals is that you get more clearance when shooting in different modes. So if I adjust this a little bit more this way, I get clearance all the way here. It won't hit the motor. And at the top, it does hit it a little bit, but let's switch it back to vertical or horizontal mode. So in horizontal mode, so you can see that I get lots of clearance. I can come all the way here. There's still a lot of space. And if I go this way, there is still a lot of space as well. And I have to come all the way here before it starts to, the motors start to sort of behave fit in a weird way. So that is a pro from this gimbal. You get a lot more power for your phone, a lot more steady footage, and a lot more clearance for different shooting scenarios and different angles that you may want to capture. In terms of the pros, there are quite a few. Because of the slightly stronger body and stronger motors, you can get very smooth quality footage. There are a lot of features that you can tap into when combined with the different Zhiyun apps. There's different functional control buttons, a built-in light that can come in handy in case you forget that removable fill-in light. And another pro is that this gimbal is built to last for a long time. You can use it straight for 24 hours, and you can even keep your phone charging as you're using it, which is another plus. In terms of some of the cons or not so good things are that there's no extendable selfie stick on this gimbal. It is not as easy to use as some of the other gimbals. There are different ways of locking and unlocking the 3-axis, and you might have to balance your gimbal depending on the phone that you're using, which requires an extra step and makes this a little bit slower in setting up before you get your shot compared to other phone gimbals. Another thing as well is that because it is stronger, it's also a little bit heavier and larger. So this is actually slightly bigger than the Zhiyun M2S, which can handle phones and even a full frame camera with a small lens. And this is really tiny. And compared to the Zhiyun M3, they're roughly the same size. I would say that the Smooth 5S is actually slightly larger than the M3, and this M3 is a beast. It can handle my Sony a7 IV with the 17-28 Tamron lens pretty well. So in my opinion, if you want something that is small and compact for traveling, this might not be the one to go for. You might as well get something like the Zhiyun Smooth Q4 that also has a selfie stick. But if you're serious about smartphone filmmaking and you want all the features and controls that you can get, and you want very smooth footage and a very well-built phone gimbal, then this is the one to go for. If you have the Zhiyun Smooth 5, then you probably might not need to upgrade, but if you're coming from an older phone gimbal and you want something that is stronger and better built, then this might be the one to go for. And again, if you want something that's more compact, more for traveling, then you might be better off with something like the Zhiyun Smooth Q4. I'll be creating another video comparing this Smooth 5S with the Zhiyun Smooth Q4, so stay tuned for when that video comes out. I'll be doing a side-by-side comparison of those two phone gimbals. That's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It'll be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time.